Which one of these two would you take home at the end of today on 3? 1, 2...
Now, I know what you're thinking. It's another video with the Kia EV3, our car of the year. But look, this is what you demanded, because we've been getting so many messages about you wanting us to test this against other cars. So many messages.
Absolutely, and really randomly, this car, the Renault Scenic, is the car that you asked us to put it up against the most. And we thought that was a bit rogue, if we're honest, because technically it's a car from the class above and it's more expensive. But then, well, then I looked into the numbers and what I discovered might surprise you.
And we do love numbers.
We do love numbers.
Yeah, so calculators at the ready, because we're going to do some number crunching and some comparing. But before that, subscribe. Thank you.
We've chosen the right day to test EVs, haven't we?
It's so cold.
It's minus.
I can't feel my mouth.
It's -2. So apologies if we just don't speak properly, but should we give it a
We're
go?
not drunk, we're just really, really cold.
We'll try.
Anyway, we digress.
We digress.
These are two compact hatchback SUVs, which is probably the most...
Compact hatchback. Did I write that in the script?
Yeah,
That's
you
crap.
did.
Okay, they are, but that's very hard to say. Well done.
compact hatchback SUVs. Boom.
Boom. Did it.
And they are the most popular sort of styling in terms of cars these days.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like we were inundated with messages of everyone wanting us to compare these two cars. I mean, have a look at this.
Yeah.
Look at that.
See, there were loads of them.
Everywhere.
And it really did make us question it, because the natural competitor for this car from Renault would be the Megane,
Yeah.
which is smaller and more in line price-wise. However, then we crunched the numbers and we spotted something very interesting.
Quick maths.
Let us explain.
This is the Kia EV3 GT Line, the mid-range of the 3 versions that Kia offers. It has an 81.4 kilowatt-hour battery, which is good for an official range of up to 367 miles, and a list price of £40,120 thanks to its premium paint at £625.
And I have the Renault Scenic Iconic long range, which is good for up to 379 miles from its 89 kilowatt-hour battery, and has a list price of £46,745. Now that also includes £1,250 for the metallic paint. But as we know, very few of us actually buy our cars with cold hard cash, and what matters more is the monthlies.
And if we crunch the numbers on those monthly payments, this is where things get interesting. So we ran the numbers at the start of January 2025. We do the same deal we always do, which is a 6-month advance payment. It is 8,000 miles a year and it's over 3 years. And the payment on the Kia EV3 would be £439.
Interesting, because we did the same test on the Scenic, and that is £50 less a month, £388 a month on that, which now we see those numbers. And now it makes sense. You've asked us to compare these two, and now we understand why. So your wish is our command.
Consider it done.
And let's kick off with design, which is always a tricky one because it's so personal. So I think the EV3 has got a really nice, bold, sporty design. I like the angular lines and that slightly aggressive stance that it has. I mean, it's basically a baby EV9, isn't it? And I do think this car is a head-turner.
The Renault Scenic, on the other hand, is a larger car. It's slightly longer and has a more understated elegance. It's got clean lines and a contrast roof. I think it's quite stylish, but maybe less eye-catching than the EV3. Metallic red is the standard colour on the Techno or the Iconic, which is quite a refreshing change from like plain white or grey. But obviously we have the white one here, that's why we paid more for it. Oh, and by the way, the contrasting roof, that's £500 extra as well.
Can I just point out one little thing that I find really, really satisfying?
You can.
That is this.
The split paint on the...
They've
diving
thought
plan.
about that, haven't they?
Yeah.
They have thought about that. I mean, I know they probably could have put the charge port like at the front or wherever, but because they have put it there, because that's probably easiest for them, they've thought about the design. I like it.
Do you like it?
I do.
In fact, talking about this, shall we do the thing?
Oh, yeah.
We haven't done the thing in a video for ages.
Yeah, go on then.
Okay.
Okay.
So, based on style, design, looks alone, which one of these two would you take home at the end of today on 3? 1, 2, 3.
Scenic.
Oh, that didn't work. You take the Scenic, I pointed.
I also did a gentle point.
You didn't. Oh, okay. Would you?
Yeah, I would.
Would you really?
I think purely on styling.
Would you?
We haven't, bearing in mind, we haven't driven them both back to back yet.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning here.
So on looks alone, you prefer the Scenic?
I do.
Okay, all right. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Looks alone, EV3 edges it for me, but for Nick,
Yeah, I'm going
she's
Scenic.
going French.
Yeah.
French.
That was racist.
Oh, it's nice to be inside. These heated seats are really lovely. They're really nice. Do you know, actually, on that subject, it took me ages to turn the heated seats on because I'd forgotten where you did that. Where do you think?
What, in the door?
Yeah, I know. Look at you in the door, like it's the most obvious place.
But it's literally, yeah.
I couldn't remember this morning. It was early, and it's the first time I've been in this car for a while. Anyway, I know it's in the door. Heated seats are in the door.
And they're good heated
They're
seats
good,
as well.
really nice and
Yeah.
fiery warm.
Yeah.
You get a warm bum.
Yeah.
Right. The main event in here is screens.
Mm-hmm.
3 screens into one. Did you know that? It's actually 3 screens. You've got 12.3 here
Oh, yeah.
with all your driver information. You've got all your climate controls in a 5.3 and then another 12.3, which is all your mapping and your media and all of that. I really like this system. I think it's intuitive, easy to use. What I like in this version, because you didn't get this in the version of the EV3 that you
No, I
reviewed,
didn't.
is you have a table for you to use. I like the table.
Yeah. Talk me through what you would use that table for.
A table? Well, when you're charging,
Yeah.
I have used it for this actually. I used it for
Okay.
this in Korea.
Okay.
Or we were charging and I had my laptop on it, and my computer, and I was doing some work on my computer while I was charging. So I put my seat back like this, because obviously we need to go back a little bit because I'm quite like that, and then my computer went on there.
So you were quite happily working like this.
But I wasn't like turning like that. I'm just like angled there, and
So
I was
you're
working.
still angled using a. Hang on a minute.
You getting it?
What would you call this? What would you call this?
A computer.
What's the name of this? Not MacBook, not
MacBook.
branding. No. What's this called?
A personal computer.
Personal computer, also known as a laptop.
But look, if you do this, you're clunking the steering wheel there, okay? And the screens can't get it far enough back.
Stop making it look more awkward than it
There, it's just
actually
really
is.
easy. Look. Perfect, done. That's great.
No, I'm
okay.
gonna get neck
Done. No, done. Right, let's move on now.
I mean, you literally sit there like that and you would use that like that. I don't understand why you would use that. And if you're using that as a table, even just putting a cup on it, it's not got a cup holder or anything like that. So I just don't see the point in it.
All right, I like it.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
It's called a laptop for a reason. And I don't want to get neck ache and backache while I'm typing.
Okay. All right. Feeling a bit bullied. Okay.
I'm just stating
joking.
facts.
Anyway, let's move on from that divisive laptop table. Who knew? What do you think of it? Let us know in the comments below. I think inside, I like the interior, I like the different use materials. I like the soft material there. Actually, quite similar to in the Scenic.
Yeah.
I think we'd probably say that whilst there is a really nice selection of on-screen touchscreens and physical buttons in here, perhaps just the plushness of the interior is a bit better in the Scenic, but then it's a more expensive car.
It is a more expensive car, but monthly's. No, it's not.
Yeah.
But in here, I appreciate the flappies. Love me a little flappy. And I love a little haptic button.
Yeah,
Fan of those.
that's so
Fan of
nice.
those. I don't think I'd ever use this middle screen here if I'm going to use everything down here.
I actually do use that a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, I use both, and I've been driving it just because it's positioned there right next to it. One thing I do want to show you that I really love in this, and I'm seeing it, actually I like it in VW Group cars as well, is how easy it is to see what's going on with your power. And I think they've really nailed this. If you come into electric for the first time, understanding what your electricity use is and scheduling your charging can all be really complicated. And it's just very nicely set up and really easy to use.
Yeah.
Which I like a lot. And I do think his infotainment system is generally pretty good.
I do really appreciate that, especially because it is really, really cold today. You know that most of the energy that's being used in this car is going towards the climate stuff to try and keep us warm because we are absolutely freezing.
Yeah.
So it is a good way of just being wary of how you use the energy from your car. So then you'll be like, I'm using way too much on climate here. I'm just going to put the heated seats on and turn the fans off.
It's a good reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other thing I like, which I think is clever, is in here as well. You've got the opportunity to set your battery conditioning. So this is great because obviously your battery needs to be at a certain temperature to take charge at the correct speed, or the speed you want it to do. If it's too cold, it doesn't like that. Now, if you're using the in-car navigation system and it's sending you to a charger, it will start to precondition, so get that battery up to speed. But you can also activate this. So if you're using Google Maps, for example, or Android on CarPlay, you can actually activate it yourself. So I think they've done a lot of things here that take a bit of the stress out of EV ownership for the first time.
They've listened. That's what they've done.
Very good at listening.
Because you can have a little rant and some brands don't listen, but Kia do listen, which I appreciate. Can I also give a shout to the headrests?
Oh, I forgot the headrest. How can I have forgotten them? Aren't they the best headrests?
These are from the EV9 and they're so comfortable.
So nice.
They're so squishy on the back of your head. Like, it's just really nice.
In fact, the seats are also really comfy.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to get out and go into the cold again?
We do, but then I'll put the heated seats on in the Renault. Be fine.
After the Scenic.
Let's go.
Way more plush, in my humble opinion. I don't know if it's way more. I think it does have a slightly more sophisticated feel.
Yeah.
But actually, if you look at some of the materials, very similar to the Kia.
Similar, but not up here.
Okay.
Oh, comfortable, more plush. Feels a little bit more expensive in here, I think.
It is a more expensive car. I know we're looking at monthlies, but it is a more expensive car.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. But no, I agree. It's not an unpleasant place to be at all. It's fine. Seats are comfy, but it hasn't got those gorgeous headrests.
No, it hasn't. Yeah, that's an absolute win for Kia in terms of the headrest, because those are so comfortable over there, can't lie.
And look, if I get my computer, my personal computer, what do I do with? I'm trying to do some work on my personal computer. Oh, it's falling.
You should put it on your lap, maybe. Just where your lap.
Look at the steering wheel was in the way, and then what do you do? Oh, but look at you, you're so uncomfortable, you're sort of typing like that.
Not uncomfortable, I'm really comfortable. Got nothing to complain about.
Okay, let's move on to screens.
Screens, now very similar to the Kia. So the driver screen is 12.3 inches. Very nice, there's all your driver information, no stress, no stress. In here you have a 12-inch small rectangular screen, if you will. You've got your climate controls all down here. They're all nice.
I do. I like that about both cars. It's a really good blend of good intuitive systems and buttons.
Yes. Your heated seats are within the screen, but easily touchable. It's going to turn yours on and then turn on my heated steering. I do want to acknowledge that the heated steering doesn't heat the whole steering wheel. It doesn't heat this top bit. It does down here and here.
But as we know, we should all be driving at 10 to 2, so that should be fine.
But occasionally we like to do a bit, like we like to go ghetto, and we like to do this sometimes. But yeah, at 10 and 2, you're nice and warm, but just not at the top, unfortunately.
I like Google Assistant on this.
Yes.
It is very good, and I love the Google Maps.
Google Maps included.
Yes, I do like that.
All within the brain, which is
great.
absolutely brilliant.
I also like the colours that they've got on there, generally on the infotainment system. I think they have some really nice vibrant colours on Renault.
Well, at the moment, this is set for perso mode, aka personal mode, so it turns it purple.
Like that name.
You can.
It sounds like a washing powder.
It really does.
Or some kind of disease. Oh, have you got perso again?
I've got the perso. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cream for that. Oh, fine.
Party trick.
Yes. Oh, I know. That's good, isn't it?
It's so good. I mean, it comes with the car.
I know.
It's not. You don't have to pay and opt for it. It's just so lovely, and it's
good.
So futuristic. It makes me feel like I'm at a beach.
Okay, yeah, it's nice.
It's really, and it makes the cabin feel way more spacious. It feels way more spacious in the back because of it, and it feels much brighter and much more airy in here.
It is a really nice place to be in here.
Yes.
One thing though that really irritates me, and I don't think I've ever sat in a Renault cabin without mentioning it, but this time the time, the gear selector. I just don't like the fact that it's there. I wish they'd move it.
It does look a bit cheap, doesn't it?
It does. It doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't look very solid, and it's not actually. When you feel it, it feels quite flimsy.
Yeah, it does. It would be nicer to have a gear selector here, something a bit sparkly, bit nice, maybe something a bit sort of shiny would look really nice.
You've never got over the Genesis, have you?
I think
with his little rotating crystal
ball. It's amazing.
Small things.
And also, there's a lot of piano black going on in here.
Yeah, okay.
Which you don't get in the Kia. So you do get a lot of dust, fingerprints, that kind of thing going on. And I have to acknowledge this section here, which doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
this is good for wireless charging, etc. But Mike Askew, who is of the tallest variety here at electrifying.com, he is like 17'3". His knee whacks that quite a lot.
Yeah, if you are taller, you really do need to make sure that you sit in and try the Scenic because of the positioning of that. Because I know it's a reason that would put Mike off having it, because he just can't get a comfy driving position.
Movable storage. You can move these.
Useful.
Put that back there. Put that in there.
Do you really do that? Yeah.
I've never done that before.
No, I can see
But you
why.
can do it if you want to.
Okay. Good though. It's good. But again, I don't think it's light years away. But I agree, it just does have a slightly more sophisticated feel to it. But I don't think there's massive amounts in it.
I think there is, but I think there is some.
It's the laptop table.
Right, rear seats. Bit hard to compare this really, because this is a car from the class above, but it's super spacious back here. This is a bespoke EV platform, so the wheels are pushed all the way out. You've got a nice flat floor, loads of space, pocket for your phone, and this also has a party trick. Oh yeah, so pull that down like that. Armrest, lovely. Couple of cup holders, lovely. What's so special about that? Well, chargers in here, and then where's my phone? In that pocket? Pocket. You can use these. Open that out. Yeah. Put your phone in there. And watch a little something. Or you can watch it at that angle, so it's towards you. Or you can open that up and have a long tablet in there so you can watch things together.
Oi.
How good is that?
Stop.
What do you want?
Stop showing off your fanciness with your revolving cup holders and your little holder things.
I'm sorry, do you not have that in the Kia?
No, but we have a lot of other things that you don't have.
But you don't, she's sad because she's losing.
She's so fancy with all her fancy phone storage, isn't she? You don't need all that. You know, simplicity is good too. And it is quite simple in the back of here. You have your central armrest. Okay, hasn't got all of that stuff, but it's got two good sized cup holders. Storage on the back of the seats, and this is good. This is a bin. One of my bugbears is sweet wrappers. Kids, don't leave them tucked in the side doors or on the floor. There's a bin there, or a phone holder or something. The one thing I do notice though in the back is that it does feel more spacious and airy in there. I think that's partly because of the angle of the seats. So they're angled slightly down, they have a slope to them, which this doesn't have, and you feel more upright here in the back. But, you know, I still think this is a good car when you compare it to the rest in its class. So compared to an ID3, for example, there is a lot more room here. And we do have to remember that technically the Scenic is from a car above. So you would expect it to be larger and more spacious and have places to put your phone and your iPad.
No surprise, the bigger car, the bigger boot. This is 545 litres.
Yes, this is 460 litres. Interesting, because in my humble opinion, this looks bigger.
It's weird,
It's
isn't it?
quite weird, but this actually looks bigger than what's going on in there. Now, I understand that you do have some extra storage, like underneath your boot floor.
Should I just explain the storage in this?
Yeah.
Okay, because it definitely is not as wide a boot opening, and you've got this lip to go over. But then under here, you've got like this well that appears.
Yeah.
The Scenic well. And in the Scenic well, you could keep all those things that you carry around in your car and never get to take to the dip.
Yeah.
Or you could keep your wellies.
That's where I'd
your
put my
dog walking
wellies.
wellies.
Yeah.
And your cables.
Yeah.
So it's quite useful. But I actually do wonder if the space is more usable on that.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think because it's wider, there is no lip. You do get some under space.
Yeah.
And there's loads under here, so
and
you can
that
put your
boot
cables.
floor moves, so you can have the well-like deeper shape as
Yeah,
well.
you can. And I just feel like this is much more accessible, and also this makes it seem more expensive.
It does, because look at this, look at that. It's just like on these little... It does feel a bit flims.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, God.
The Scenic doesn't have a frunk. This has a 25-litre frunk.
Yeah.
Do you ever use a frunk?
No?
Neither do I.
But I know lots of people that do.
Who?
Tom uses a frunk. Manos uses a frunk.
Oh, Manos uses a frunk.
Yeah.
I find every car I've had that has a frunk, I have never used the frunk. And I
No.
find it because it's such a faff to open, having to go into the front and then open the flappy and then open it up and put your hook up and all that sort of thing. rather than just going to your boot or putting something under the boot floor, I would never use a frunk. So I actually just don't see the point in them.
Let's throw this out to the wider audience.
Yeah.
Do you use your frunk? If you're an electric car driver, let us know in the comments below. You can also email us, media@electrifying.com if you
Yeah.
want to get in touch. And do let us know if you're not an electric car driver, would you like to have a car with a frunk? Is it something that you're looking for in your next car?
I just don't see the point in them.
I've never used a frunk.
No.
We always talk about how big they are
Yeah, but we never use them.
and what we should call them, frunk fruit.
Bonnet hole.
You don't really call it.
When I first started reviewing cars years ago, when I was working for another channel, I didn't know what to call it because frunk wasn't really a saying back then. So I just used to call it a bonnet hole.
And on that bombshell, let's move on.
When it comes to performance, these cars are set up kind of similar. So both have got a single motor. In the EV3, it's at the front, and also in the Scenic, it's at the front. But to be fair, they have quite a different feel.
They do have a different feel, Nick. You are absolutely right. And the feel, the vibe that you get with the EV3, I would say is smooth. Like smooth radio and all those lovely relaxing tunes they play. All right, I'll stop that. It's just such a relaxing car to drive. It's really nice behind the wheel. It's easy to drive. It's comfy. You feel chilled out. It's ideal. But let's talk about speed for a minute, because like the smaller battered version, it's got an output of 201 brake horsepower. 0 to 60 takes 7.7 seconds. And for me, this level of power is perfect. It feels nippy and it's quick off the mark, but crucially, if you want to put your foot down, the power is there when you need it, but it never feels ridiculously quick. Now, Nick mentioned about it being single motor, and I really do like cars with a single motor because they usually ride really nicely, and this is no exception. As I said, smooth. Smooth is the vibe. It's comfy, it's stable. In fact, the suspension setup is so good, it's really hard to believe that it's not fitted with adaptive dampers. Kia's engineers, you've worked wonders with this suspension. It feels very composed going into corners. It soaks up potholes and speed bumps. And the steering has a really nice weight to it. It responds to inputs quickly. I think the steering on the Scenic is a bit too light and fidgety for my taste. Driving position is great. You've got loads of adjustment in the seat and the steering wheel. My colleague Mike, who is very tall, can also find a comfy driving position in here. Visibility is also good as well. And I like the Kia steering wheel. It's quite big, but I like this flat top and bottom. It's a recent addition to the lineup. It just feels nice to hold. Regen is also set up really well, smooth, nicely calibrated. You can set the level using paddles here on the steering wheel. I've actually got it in 3 today, which I really like when the roads are icy and frosty as they are today. And you can also bring it to a complete stop using regen if you want to, something that I don't think you can do in the Scenic. Kia are really good when it comes to driving tech, and they've also nailed adaptive cruise control. Again, that word smooth, it's seamless, really well set up, and it makes this car very relaxing to drive on motorways or in busy traffic. If I'm being really picky, I would concede it does pick up a little bit of road noise, maybe a bit more than I'd like, and maybe a little more than you'd find in the Scenic. But honestly, Nick, I don't think you're going to top this car when it comes to how it drives.
Yes, annoyingly, Jenny, I think you're right. Look, when I drove the EV3 for the first time last year, I thought it was brilliant. It's a really, really lovely car to drive. It really is. But also, so is this. I mean, we both love the EV3, but that doesn't mean that this is necessarily bad, because it's not. This is a really cracking car to drive. I mean, you've got 215 horsepower. It'll do 0 to 62 in like 8 seconds, which is perfectly fine. I mean, you can make it more nippy if you want to by putting it in sport mode using this button down here. Let's go. Sport. Shaboom. Yeah. So it just adds a little bit more oomph and makes the steering a little bit heavier, which actually steering-wise, I prefer it in sport mode because you've got a little bit more feel, you feel a little bit more connected to the car, do you know what I mean? Then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have eco mode, which you can really, really feel the difference in the throttle response. Try not to be in eco when you're on a slip road trying to go up to a motorway, because you're going to question whether it's going to make it or not. You really got to put your foot down in eco mode. But look, if you're running low on range, that's probably what you're going to use. For me personally, I would stick it either in comfort mode, basically your normal standard mode, or the weirdly named perso mode, which I can only assume is because personal is too long a word, so they couldn't put personal on the screen. But it turns everything nice and purple and your ambient lighting nice and purple. What it does means that you can completely personalize the car. So you can change the throttle response to what you prefer, you can change the steering weight to whatever you prefer, you can switch off your speed limit warnings, you can turn off your lane keep assist, and then it stays on those settings. So then every time you get in the car, you turn it on and it's set in your perso mode, which is brilliant, isn't it? I like that very much. Very similar to the EV3, you've got different levels of regen braking. So you've got the flappy paddles here behind the steering wheel, so you can flap, flap, flap to the right and turn it all off, which basically means you're now coasting. My foot is not on the accelerator whatsoever, I'm just coasting. There we go. And then you can flap it all the way to the left, flap, flap, flappy, flap, flaps. And then your regen braking is on. You won't come to a complete stop, you'll come to a creep. There we go. But it works really well. It does. Very similar in that sense. Now the Scenic does not have adaptive dampers. We do have the bigger wheels on this car. We've got 20-inch wheels on this. If you go for the smaller wheels, I think you're onto a winner. It's a slightly smoother, softer, more comfortable drive. I'm not complaining about the 20s because they look very nice from the outside, but to drive in terms of your comfy driving experience, I think you would rather have the smaller wheels personally. Tell you what though, I think the seats in this are way more comfy. There's just really nice support on my back, which is really nice. I mean, you've got the... Does it adjust? It does adjust. Yeah, see, that's nice. Yeah, that's lovely, that. So I can put a bit more oomph into my back. I like a bit of curvature in my back, so I've got a bit more comfort going on, which is lovely, it's great. Visibility in here, blooming brilliant. I mean, yes, I know that the rear window isn't the best and doesn't have the best view out the back, but all around here, the space that you have everywhere around you, visibility is pretty great, and it doesn't feel like a much bigger car than what the EV3 is. I know it is a bigger car, it's technically longer, etc. But this doesn't feel chunky compared to the EV3.
The Kia EV3 GT Line supports DC fast charging at up to 120 kilowatts, allowing a 10 to 80% charge in just 30 minutes. It comes with 7.2 kilowatt AC charging as standard, with an optional 22 kilowatt AC capacity expected soon.
The Renault Scenic Iconic long range, on the other hand, supports faster DC charging at up to 150 kilowatts, also achieving a 10 to 80% charge in around 30 minutes. AC charging is limited to 7 kilowatts as standard. While the Scenic charges slightly faster on DC chargers, the EV3's battery preconditioning is a valuable feature for maintaining performance in cold conditions. However, the heat pump comparison tips in favour of the Scenic. It is standard across all trims, whereas the EV3 is only available as a £900 optional extra on the top-spec GT Line S trim.
So, we've done the things and now it's time to reach a decision. And I think given that we are standing here today in -3,
I can't feel my toes.
So cold. I think efficiency, particularly in cold weather, is going to really play part in our decision making.
Yes,
Fair? Yeah?
yes, big time.
So the EV3, as a reminder, has a claimed range of 367 miles and a battery of 81.4 kilowatt hours.
Yeah, whereas the Scenic has an 89 kilowatt hour battery and a range of 379 miles.
Okay.
Now, this version doesn't have a heat pump. This version does have a heat pump.
Okay, bear that in mind. Heat pump, no heat pump. What's you getting? What's your miles per kilowatt hour, Nick?
In the Scenic,
Yeah.
I'm getting 2.3.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the EV3, I'm getting 3, it's crept up to 3.1.
Which doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Because that has a heat pump, but it's getting 2.3. That doesn't have a heat pump, but it's getting 3. So this is what we've learned, right? over winter, when it gets extremely cold, the average EV will lose around 21% of its range. So that's pretty much bang on.
Yeah.
Whereas that is losing probably around 30, maybe 31, 32%.
A bit more, I think.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I do.
Which is pretty bad.
So I think we have to, I'm going to think about that in my decision making, because for me, efficiency is so important with journey planning, but also because ultimately it saves you money.
Yeah.
You know, the more miles of range you're driving, the less time and money you're spending charging.
And in your head, if you're doing a regular journey during the year, like if I'm driving up here to Oxford to film at the barn at any point of the year, I want the car to behave kind of the same.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
of course,
near enough. Whereas that just won't do that.
And the other thing I'm going to throw in is warranty. So there's a 5-year warranty on the Scenic. The Kia's got a 7-year warranty as well, which is such a good thing for resale values as well. So look, let's not take away from the numbers. Just remind ourselves that this is £50 less a month at the moment as things stands. Of course, you know, PCPs change all the time. So, you know, and this is a new car, which is always going to keep it a little bit higher. So, but that's as it stands now. So knowing what we know, let's do the thing again.
Right, let's do it. Okay, I'm ready now.
You do the can. Are we pointing or saying out loud?
I don't know.
Let's say out loud and point. Do both.
Okay, fine.
Okay, go on.
And we're going after 3.
After 3. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
EV3. Oh! I knew you were going to say that. I thought you'd say the Scenic.
Okay.
Go on.
I said the Scenic at the start because I think it's a really lovely car.
I
think it's a more plush interior. I think, you know, the boot size is very handy, although they're very much looking the same and that's a bit wider. But I think all in all, in terms of what it's like to sit in, etc., that's a nicer car.
It is.
But then it comes down to the numbers and it comes down to efficiency, which again for me is extremely important. Losing that many miles during winter with a heat pump is not good in my head, whereas Kia has absolutely shone in that regard.
And actually, I prefer the way the Kia drives as well. And I think for me, day to day, I just like the driving experience more. I prefer the ride. I find it more comfortable. But I do like the Scenic a lot still.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. Let us know what you think in the comments below. What would you have gone for? Because I wasn't expecting that.
Interesting. I've been swayed. I've been swayed. Oh, and by all means, let us know if you want us to do any more twin tests between any other cars. It doesn't have to be against the EV3. If there's anything in particular that you have that you want us to put head to head, let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe.